We'd all rise for the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as always, if we will maintain a moment of silence to observe those who are serving us here and abroad.
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. The Home News Tribune published a notice on August 1st, 2024. The Star Leader published a notice on August 8th, 2024. It's posted on the municipal bulletin board and should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Bauer.
Here.
Councilwoman De Jesus.
Here.
Councilman Sakara.
Here.
Councilwoman McCullough.
Here.
Councilwoman Meehan. Councilman Patel. Councilman Small.
Here.
Vice President Spiller.
Here.
And President Anderson.
Here.
This time, Mr. President, can I get a motion to open the public comment portion of this meeting?
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public comment portion is now open. Here, no comment from the public. Can I get a motion that the public comment portion be closed?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. President, you have before you a number of ordinances and resolutions. With regards to ordinances, I've got in front of you letters A and B. The first is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and to establish a cap bank. And letter B is an ordinance setting the salary guide. Can I get a motion that these two ordinances be taken, passed on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune on August 19, 2024, with notice of public hearing to be held on September 10, 2024 at 6 p.m.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Also, Mr. President, you have 6 resolutions before you. 1 through 6, the computation of the 3-year average method, the cancellation of a line item, the introduction of the fiscal year 25 municipal budget, and the introduction of both the Main Street and the Oak Tree Road city budgets. Again, a motion that these 6 resolutions be passed.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And then, Mr. President, we're going to go right into the budget hearing with the municipal departments. First up is the Department of Police, which will cover police impound yard, office of emergency management, and emergency medical services, starting with pages 34 through 39, salary and wage, and 87 to 94, OE.
Question? Van?
Yes.
Directors, I know I tried to send in some of my questions and answered them all, but I think some of them deserve to be heard, so please forgive me if I'm redundant. But to the police department directors, page 90, line 4316 is the body and in-car camera equipment. And we've had a history going back to 2022 of spending some fair amount of money, and there's no request for 2025. Could you explain why that is
Sure.
true?
Looking at the budget, if you notice the line right below it, 4320, copier lease, that is actually the number that was supposed to be input. It was a clerical error in putting the wrong line. The line below it, copier lease, is zeroed out and has been for many years. That was supposed to be under in-car camera and body camera equipment.
Perfect, thank you. And if I may continue, also on page 90, line 4355, Again, the history, and I'm sorry, the category is signs. There's a history there of requests and expenditures. Nothing meets the request of 2025 of 100K. What, is that a new program? What is that for?
No, it's the same program, but we've taken on getting the signs for all of the township now, whereas in the past, the municipal engineer might have had some money in his budget. He doesn't for that. The police department has taken that on. So for any of the signage that the municipal engineer feels we need, it comes through the police department. We've also, as you know, opened a lot of municipal lots. We put the signage there. And also, we've done a inventory of the signs along our roadways and found that many of them are aged and should be replaced. They're not as reflective, and some of them don't meet the required standards.
Great, great. Well, I think that that's extremely important. Thank you for that explanation. I could go on, but I'll let it go.
Director, I'd just like to ask a question on page 91 regarding vehicle leases. Over the last few years, I'm sorry? Over the last few years, we've asked for a similar amount, and we've had expenditure of about $300,000 or $400,000 underneath that. We're asking for that same amount again. Are we anticipating addition to the fleet, or is there some reason that the public would want to know about?
Well, the addition to the fleet and the fact that we don't normally pay our lease until we receive the cars. Over the last several years, it's been extremely difficult to get cars in. So sometimes money is left that should have been spent, it was earmarked for a lease. So in anticipation of all of a sudden getting more billing for the cars, that's why it's remaining there.
Thank you.
Director, I have a question. On page 93, for mileages and tolls, it's a substantial increase there from 500 to 10,500. Can you explain why the increase in mileage and tolls has gone up so much?
Sure. So with the Easy Pass, in the past, we didn't have a surplus of money in the account. And what would happen is some violations would occur where somebody forgot to put the Easy Pass in, we get a violation. That started to add up. What we found is if we keep around $10,000 in the account, we don't have those violations, it's just subtracted. So it's almost like a safety net.
Thank you.
Along that same line of the Easy Pass, will nowadays when a civilian drives through and forgets their Easy Pass, it can track it by the license plate? Is that the same for municipal government cars
Yes.
as well?
It is.
Thank you.
Council President, our license plates, all the municipal license plates are tracked within our Easy Pass account, and they can track the cars that go through it so we don't get the violations, to the director's point.
Director, one question regarding the DVRT program. There was no expenses last year, but we are asking for what we requested last year.
Right. We reminded them that the money was there and available to them. They never requested it. We reminded them a second time. There was never a request for that money, but of course, we want to continue to be able to fund them whenever they need something.
Director, we got a request this morning.
Oh, you got
Yeah,
that?
so where we cut the check for the money from last year, they just got it.
Yeah,
So
great time.
They were on top.
A little late.
All right.
They're a voluntary group.
All right.
We work with them.
All right, thank you.
They do good things.
Yes, they do. Any other questions?
Can we move into, can we slide right into emergency medical services, or are we just saying, we could slide right into it, Dan?
That's what
Okay. Let me get my facts here. All right, so I am looking on page 99 and 100, line 4125, 5259. These are first-time requests. Can you explain to me, Director Nischke, what?
Yes, Councilman, so this is a new budget, so I'd just like to read from my notes.
Sure.
With an average of 1,100 calls for service each month, required standbys of at township and school events, and being primary mutual aid for Carteret and South Amboy, we must staff and have available for dispatch no less than 5 ambulances each day. Concerned that one of our first aid squads has been either unwilling or unable to provide coverage, and so that we can create a safety net for the remaining 3 first aid squads, we deemed it necessary for the Woodbridge Police Department to become a New Jersey state licensed emergency medical services provider. Our immediate intentions are to staff and have available 1 ambulance dispatching from Ford's Fire Department, and to reevaluate our position at the end of the calendar year. So we're building a budget to be able to supplement the coverage we have.
That makes sense. Certainly don't want to mess around with emergency services. Thank you.
Assistant Director Niski, sorry. Around Councilman Ficara's questions, where do we get those numbers from? Were they from surrounding facilities, or were they based on some of our other unit?
The numbers that we're using to build the budget?
Yes.
Well, we've had, like I said, we've relied on 4 first aid squads to provide this service. Those 4 first aid squads provide us with 5 ambulances each day. So it's just a matter of breaking out 1 or 2 ambulances and applying those costs to the new budget.
And our residents in Woodbridge will be able to expect the same services that we receive there on that side of town in Ford's as we would on the other side. Anything as far as the billing that goes out for that they can count on?
So we have an ambulance at Ford's Fire Department now. We intend on replacing the ambulance that is there with our own ambulance. That service is generally Ford's, Hope Lawn, KSB, and South Amboy. But we do operate our service off a live map, so we always dispatch closest to the call. And we remain well under the NFPA guidelines on response time. So yes, we are going to continue to provide the same quality service that we've always provided.
Thank you.
What is the response time on that? Do you know that?
So we work off of a chart that our EMS manager checks every day. We try to stay within, from the time that dispatch receives the call, we ask that they get it out to the ambulance within 90 seconds. We ask the ambulance to be in motion within 90 seconds after receiving the call, and we ask that they be on location within 8 minutes.
Director, do you sleep this stuff? Like you're just rattling that off?
Well, well, this goes back to 2008, when we first started overseeing EMS, and then when the director and I took over the police department, we put a lot more effort into it. We hired our first EMS manager, so yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
Great. This side's good.
What pages are we up to now? 105?
101.
Direct, page 104, line 4995, other outside services. Pretty low the last few years. Last year it jumped up to 40, up another 20,000. Can you just explain the other outside services? Page 104, line 4995.
That's for EMS.
Okay.
So outside services for the EMS budget are going to cover things like EMS charts. You have to contract with EMS charts to be able to bill for your services. Another outside service would be paying our insurance premium through the JIF. So it's those types of things that we have to be sure we have enough money for.
Okay, thank you.
Director, I noticed we had a $100 meal allowance that is no longer a part of the budget for these services. For the last 2 years, is there maybe a dog or something that we don't have in the firehouse? Or it was a $100 meal allowance for 2020 and 2021 and 2022. But 2023 and 2024, we don't have anything. There's a meal allowance on line 5140. Just curious as to know why we had such a low budget for that, and then we don't allow that anymore. At the very bottom of the page?
OEM.
Yeah.
That's something.
Right, I took over OEM on April 1st of this year and restructured the budget and got rid of the things that I didn't think were necessary and kept the things that were. So that's certainly something that I had the same question about and couldn't find the answer, so it's no longer there.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like we never really used it, right? You know, but, well, thanks. Every little bit counts. Any other questions?
Not from this side.
Well, I think this side is good too. Thank you very much for your patience and your answers.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. President, we're going to go into the Division of Assessment. Mr. Duda.
What is the O and E on that, Mr.
So
Ridge?
the O&E will be 38 through 39. So again, beginning with the Assessor's Office, pages 38 through 39 on OE.
Nobody wants to mess around with the tax guys. I have questions on that. That's just on page 38, line 4895, professional services, others. Just interested to know what that, we requested 35,000 for a number of years, and we're either right at it, a little bit under it, so on and so forth. We requested the same amount again. Can you just explain to me what type of services that would be?
That's for tax, in case we need to go to tax court, in case there's a, we need you know, if you go to tax court, you usually need a professional appraiser to defend the town. So
Okay.
that means that costs, appraisals can cost, on large, like Woodbridge Center, would do an appraisal, it probably costs 10 or 15,000 for him to defend that. So it's pretty much there to, just in case we need to, you know, in case we need it. You know, right now the market's pretty good, so we're not, you know, we're not using all the money now, but I mean, if something, we ever have a downturn in the market, we're probably gonna need that money.
That makes sense, and it explains the fluctuation in the actual, so
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That clears that up pretty good.
Any questions on this side? Anybody? Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, council. Have a good night.
Went to the tax collector's budget. OE is 35 and 36. And also, we'll be looking at sewer administration with Mr. Lorenzen as well, which is under your utility pages 1 through 5.
Mr. Lorenzen, around telephone expenses on page 34.
That's not.
Is that not?
No, that's
not
not.
that.
That's fire district?
Gotcha, okay. Sorry about that.
35 through 36, and then under utility 1 through 5.
Gotcha.
Some of this is on the stuff that we just recently got, right? The use?
Yeah, the new section.
The new section that was sent out, right?
On the pink packet, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
On
Yes.
page 4, 7520, the piers, can you explain what that's for and how it doubled almost?
Yeah, it's referring to the finance office.
That's our, it's a pension expense.
Okay.
Pension allocation.
There's a public employee retirement system, so I don't know why.
It's the allocation
That-
of pension.
Yeah, it's allocated for the pension. That's done in the finance office.
We got this packet, yes.
Yeah, I looked at it.
We have a
Pension allocation, that one.
Councilwoman DeJesus?
Just a better allocation.
Yeah, Councilwoman,
You
we
have
just
a
did an
question?
analysis of our pension number and just analyzed it via employees and just allocated it a little different this year. That's all it was.
We have a question.
I do. I have a question on page 3, item 4995, other outside services. It's always the same number requested, but we never get anywhere near half of the amount requested. Can you just explain why we keep requesting the same number and not utilize it?
Periodically, we do sewer rate studies. We don't know what year exactly we're gonna do them. And then we had some boundary issues with some other municipalities where we had to do some preliminary legal work. So it's there in the event that we have to do any kind of study regarding the rates in general.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Just leave your shirts at the door.
We have to get to the next people.
We'll take purchasing and utilities and bulk purchases next. Again, page 18 through 22, purchasing and utilities and bulk purchases.
On page 18, Ms. Burns, our maintenance contracts, we seem to have declined as far as our usage over the last few years, but we are asking for the same amount. Is there's something that we might be anticipating, or is there like unexpected big years with that?
I would say the decline for that is the past few years we've gone paperless. So I think that's why the maintenance on our copier has been less and less. And same thing with all departments, I would say, that the copy machines are probably going less and less because we're trying to go paperless. That's really the only maintenance I think I have in my department is the copy machine.
Okay.
It's like one in the principal's office, right?
It is.
In the future, do we anticipate the ask on that going down?
I have no problem with that, yeah.
I think we're good on this side, just so you know.
Good over there? Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice work.
We'll go into human resources next, pages 27 through 29 on OE.
Deputy Administrator Casey Wagner is going to sit in for Darren Crocker, who's not feeling well. He's been out a couple of days.
Would you like me to move up, Council
Yeah, sure.
President?
Yes, please.
Sit up front.
You gotta ask something then if I
The
move.
temperature on that seat is a little hot.
I got a question, Council President.
Sure.
Page 28, line item 4995, other outside services. Significant jump from last year, and the years before were very low. Just explain the other outside services and why the big increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. So that's for our ADP system. We've used ADP for at least my whole tenure, at least 10 years plus. We pretty much use them for their basic service over the year. They processed our payroll checks and they submitted. What we've since done is they offer a lot more services that we weren't using. And over the last year plus, both finance and HR have been working actively to use them. The main ones are onboarding is the big one, and that's most of the increase you see there. So now all of our job postings go up via ADP, applicants apply via ADP, and we onboard them all through the ADP system. So that's the big change we did. We're also doing internal time and attendance, which is another big piece. So now all employees, and we're still rolling out and going through the process, working the kinks out. But if I want a day off, you go into ADP, you request off through there. We track time, we track payouts, everything through ADP now. Another smaller portion increase you'll see on the finance side is the general ledger aspect of it now. So instead of finance going in doing manual journal entries once payroll's processed and all that, it's going to be able to automatically communicate with themselves. So it takes a little bit of the risk out while you're processing, takes a little ease off, and it's a big rollout. They've been working hard doing it, but that's what the increase is.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And following up on that same thing, Case, if we're doing a little bit more using technology in those areas you just explained, will there be a reduction somewhere else in
So
some other line?
we did remove some open positions on the finance side and all that. Yes, we did on the
Okay.
back end of it. Yes.
And they were unfilled positions?
For a little while, it's time to move away from that. Correct.
Okay.
We
That
like to
make-
carry them for a little bit. You never know. And
Yeah. No, that makes, I mean, I'm all for improvements with technology. You know, it's always sad to see somebody lose their job, but that wasn't the case here. So.
No, it was not. No. This is just to streamline the process for both internally and people looking to be onboarded.
Gotcha.
Question, Mr. Wagner, regarding continuing education. It seemed as though the last 4 years, the ask has been steady, but the demand, we've not gotten up to that. Is there something else that they're getting education somewhere
Yeah,
else? or-
HR is a little different there. Like if you see, I'll use finance as an example, or purchasing, they're more steady classes. Here's your certification, here's what you go for. The HR one we kind of keep open because it's more of a conference type thing, so as it comes available, they say, oh, this is a good one we should go to, and they apply for it, and they're not yearly. They sometimes don't work out based off a schedule. So that's kind of why we keep it that flat number should something come up and they wish to use it.
Okay. You also, perhaps this might be a similar response to Ms. Burns regarding the printing. The printing costs seem to have gone down over the last few years. This is line 4920. Would we anticipate the ask going down?
We do. We've been looking to redo our employee handbooks, and we kind of been getting to it, some of the law changes, some of our own internal policies updated. So we just finalized that, and they might have one open item remaining, and this year we're looking to roll out a new employee handbook.
Okay.
And that's what we did there.
Council President, sometimes we just do supplements where we'll do a page change or two, but this time we need a revamp.
Is redoing the employee handbook part of a service that ADP is providing for you also? Or is it
No,
just
that's all
internal?
internal. We work with legal to roll it out.
Good. Thank you very much for sitting in.
Pinch hitter.
We're going to drop to information systems, which is also under your utility pages 5 through 9, and that will be Scott Kuzma, the director.
That's on what we just received, right?
Yes.
What page
So
is it again, John?
should be the first section
Pages
right
5
after
through
the...
9 under the sewer utility pages.
Gotcha. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you're good. And then you get Director Kuzma.
Okay.
Oh, please, yes, Councilman Karen?
Thank you. Scott, page 7, and I'm sorry I didn't get this to you in advance because I don't like to pop these up, but line 4304, electrical equipment. So we were going along since 2020 budgeting a fairly low amount, and then last year we budgeted that same amount, spent considerably more, and now we're requesting even a little bit more. I'm assuming that's something new, the electrical equipment?
So this last year was the electrical for wiring the temporary air conditioning units because we replaced the air conditioners in the data center. Next year is going to be the UPS replacement.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Councilwoman DeJesus?
On page 7, item 4515, there is a significant, on the maintenance contracts, can you just talk a little bit about the significant increase requested? Page 7, 4515, maintenance contracts.
Right. So last year, a big chunk of what's in maintenance contracts for this year was in equipment licensing and was in software maintenance. The licensing model is different now for some of the equipment that they're actually causing us to do a maintenance contract instead of the software license. So it's effectively the same number, just in a different line.
Thank you.
Councilman Karen?
Scott, page 9 now at the top. Telephone expense, 5330. We were cruising along at $250,000, but we were never, well, early on, we spent a little bit, but now we're jumping up. What is that for, telephone expense?
So we're installing a new telephone system, a new MyTel system in town. The SpectraTel service for the lines themselves were on a separate bill in prior years, and they're now included in this. So again, it's a cost savings.
It's actually a lower number.
It's a lower number, but the number's in this line now.
You know, I think from my perspective, and I'm an old timer, I don't think I really understood the magnitude of what your department does. I imagined it was just messing around with the computer. I have a much better respect for what you do, so thank you.
No more rotary phones.
Yeah, I was wondering, I don't even have a home phone anymore.
And should we expect this, Mr. Simaluka, should we expect an increase of the telephone expense and, like, that, is everyone
So it'll be a maintenance
sharing in-
payment.
Okay.
Monthly, and we'll pay that monthly, actually quarterly. We're doing away with the old POTS lines, which is the plain old telephone lines, for layman's terms, like for guys like me. And that's why we went to voice over internet. Much cheaper, much easier to maintain, and our entire staff has been trained on how to repair them.
All good?
Just one quick question, Scott, on page 8, line item 4895, professional services other. significant increase from past few years to 2025 budget?
That increase is because we need to do a penetration test for cybersecurity this year, and that's in that line.
Thank you.
And two questions regarding a reduction. On page 7, we have a reduction in computer equipment at line 4305, third one down, where we've gone down from $75,000 ask to $10,000. Is there an explanation that we can let the public know?
So in the past, we had to deploy physical servers in order to accomplish whatever we were going to do. We're able to build a virtual machine now, which is building multiple machines in one virtual server, and it's a big cost savings.
Very good. And also along that line, a few lines down to 4315, our software cost, we had a lower ask last year, but we spent a little bit more, but we're going back to only requesting $5,000 on that line. Are we not anticipating any upgrades in the software?
We're not, because in the past, Adobe, you had to buy the license, and now the cost is down, and it's an annual recurring fee, but it's lower price, and again, we went to that option.
Thank you for that explanation. Everybody good on this side?
Good on this side,
Okay.
thank you.
We're good, thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Nice work.
Good job, Scott, thank you.
We're going to drop to planning and development, starting with pages 74 on OE through 84. We'll capture Ms. Levsky's divisions. Again, starting with pages 74 through 84.
Push the mics
for the whole department.
Can we hold 1 second, please? I need to make the mic shift.
Sure. All right, so we're back to planning. The microphone has been changed. Are there any questions regarding planning?
Good.
I just have one question on page 81, the salary increases. We're not significantly, do we add people to our,
What page are you referring
page
to?
81, number 351.
Oh, that's the housing.
That's not, it's 81 to 84.
Yeah.
That's zoning.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're talking about 3510, salaries regular.
2050 is housing and property maintenance. Yes, we have added inspectors.
Okay.
Multiple, actually, in the last 18 months.
Sorry.
And that's just because we're growing and town is going to need to do, have more inspectors.
Yeah, sure, there's more housing inspections to be performed, but also that covers zoning and property maintenance, so all of that is included in 2050 under 3510.
We have a question from Councilwoman DeHaven.
Page 80, item 4825, professional services legal. We are doubling the amount requested in the previous years. Can you just let us know why?
Yeah, sure, that is planning board, and we try to budget for when we know that there's an outstanding action that is being taken against the board, and there is one that we know of, so that would be why.
Thank you.
And by the way, we've never lost a case, our planning board attorney has never lost a case in the last 30-plus years that he has been the attorney, and I don't believe he will now, but there is an action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Good down here? Good. Thank you. Good. Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you.
We'll now go to the library board. There's a separate tab in your books for the library. Okay, and you have Mrs. Eppinger before you tonight.
May I?
Yes, sir. Councilman Carroll.
Monica, I know that I sent these questions to you, but your answers were so thorough, I thought it was important for public to hear. Page number 3 in your budget, line 317-10, is a miscellaneous electric resources, and 198K is requested, but prior to that, we were over that. So is something settled in that we're requesting less than what we spent last year?
No, in fact, in the budget you were given today, we did adjust those numbers because we have raised the amount we spend gradually. We do spend $250,000 on electronic resources out of the $600,000 that we have. That number has gradually gone up because we're able to see that people want to borrow they want to borrow ebooks, audiobooks online. They want to stream things. They want to take classes online. So those resources we're buying those instead of the print. So we haven't asked for an increase in the budget, but the online resources are more in demand.
Signs of the time, right?
When we serve the schools as well, the databases we have, a lot of our databases are part of the school resources, and we serve a lot of students after school, so that works out well for us.
Great. Progress.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We will now go to the municipal court. Pages 160 through 162. We.
Before we get to that, can I just say, Casey, I think you might have answered this. Going back to the general O&E, there was a line on page 163. It just simply said public library, line 5295, miscellaneous expense. It was a very big number, 5.7. Can you just give me an explanation of what that was?
What page are you looking at, Council?
I am looking at page 163, line 5295, miscellaneous expense. It was under free public library, and it was 6020 was the account.
That's the town's
That's a contribution
over
to
the library fund.
Right.
Right.
So that's, okay, gotcha.
Okay, again, we're going to go through the municipal court's budget, pages 160 through 162. You have your acting director, Gary Taylor.
How's it going, everybody? Good to see you. Very good. Good down here. You okay, Sheriff?
Yeah.
We're good on this side.
No questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Not okay,
everybody.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will go to the Department of Health. Various divisions, starting with page 106, going through 147. Mr. Brzezowski here this evening. So we'll start with the Department of Health, and then we'll go over to senior services afterwards.
Can we just jump into anywhere in those areas, Mr. Mitch? Phil, can we take a look at page 111, all the way at the bottom? It actually, I think it goes into 112. But it is line 4895, professional services, other. The history there for the last, since 2023, 2024, we've requested 25K and never spent anything, and we're requesting it again. Can you tell me what that reserve, what is it? Sure. Thank you, Councilman. So that subject matter is our community outreach, and specifically our health mobile. To that end, we budgeted in anticipation of receiving the health mobile and its conception, and we wanted to cover that if we ever needed a doctor on board to perform any of the screening services that we were formulating. As it turned out, the screening services that we have been doing that have been wildly successful do not require the services of a doctor. But to that end, the reason we're continuing to ask for it is as the health mobile and the services and the success of it evolve, we may elect to do something that would possibly require a doctor's presence. That makes perfect sense. Nothing, I'm sure anybody on the council would tell you, any reports we get about the mobile health unit is absolutely positive, so. And it's everywhere. It seems like, well, it is, literally every day you're somewhere, right? So. And thank you for that. And again, as I mentioned at the Board of Health meeting, thanks to Carolyn Ehrlich, the Chief of Staff, and the Mayor, whose idea this was, in getting this thing from donated to us. We've conducted now over 3,500 screenings. Many of them resulted in situations where people didn't even know that they were in excess or that got follow-up and got treatment. We've had a couple of circumstances where there was literally, with blood glucose, people were not feeling well, came onto the unit, and they were literally in emergency situations where they got sent to the hospital. And so this thing has done so much good for so many people. It's just great, and thanks to all of you for, obviously none of this happens without the Mayor and the Chief of Staff and your support. So this thing has just done so much good for so many people.
We have a question from Councilwoman Days.
Page 113, drugs and pharmaceuticals, item 4118. It's almost double the amount requested last year, which I'm going to make an assumption and think that it's along the same lines, maybe something to do with the health mobile.
So that's drugs and pharmaceuticals?
Yes.
So that's actually with respect to our nursing division, and through, now that we are thankfully out of the COVID realm, we don't get grants anymore to get vaccines for free. And so we are transitioning out of that, and so and we are back to doing non-COVID programs and vaccinations, childhood vaccinations and so forth. And of course, the cost for just about everything is going up, including vaccines. So.
Excellent. I think your department does a phenomenal job, and I wish, and it's the time to inform our residents, I don't think they really utilize the health department like they should, and it's a good resource to have in town. So I appreciate you and your staff. You do an amazing job.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Okay, Mr. Mitch, can we go to animal services?
All under the Department of Health, yes, sir.
Okay. May I, Mr. President?
Yes, please.
Phil, page 117, once again, all the way at the bottom, line 4895, professional service other. We have been, looks like going back to 2020 and 2021, we spent close to 60,000 in this area, and then we went up, we spiked up, and then we've been down, and then we've requested 75K for 2025. What kind of services would that be? Obviously, if it's in animal control, it's got related to animals. Yes, so thank you, Councilman. So like the previous question, fees for cost of everything has been going up, and certainly for veterinary and veterinary services, our animal control division will sometimes come upon a stray dog or cat that's injured and so forth, and we bring that animal
to a vet to get treatment, and that cost has gone up. And as well as we have expanded as we do shared service agreements with several other towns, so that driver, that need has gone up as well.
Great, thank you. As the father of a veterinarian, I appreciate that answer.
Director, under drug addiction services, page 141, line item 4895, professional services other, huge increase from 2024. Years before were flat across the board at 30,000. Can you explain the increase in that line item, please?
Yes, so as you know, thanks to our administration, yourself, and our behavioral health services, we are taking an ever-increasing effort with behavioral health, related drug addiction, mental health, and we collaborate with the service as needed with, in this case, the consulting fees for the Nolan Center that we work collaboratively with.
Thank you very much.
All right, one quick question.
Councilman Carroll?
Thank you, Phil. And let's see, page 120, and the lines go from page 120 to 121. It's under Municipal Alliance, 4128. My only working knowledge of the Municipal Alliance was when they were connected with the Heroes and Cool Kids program, going all the way back to Shirley Genty. But now, what is that program for, Phil?
Thank you. First, I remember and recall what you referred to specifically in the past. This is for what's known as a Strengthening Families program that we work cooperatively with the schools, and each school that participates receives a specific amount of money for a facilitator. And what this is about is to helping the communication between school personnel, parents, children, any kind of issues they may have. It's just for strengthening families. And there's a professional that we collaborate with that goes to these programs and works with the parents and the children and the school personnel to just develop better communication. And obviously bullying and things like that, nationwide situation, they just want to do what they can to have a healthier and just a problem-free environment for anyone who cares to participate with that. It's an education, really.
I think the issues, I'm so much in favor of that. I think the issues, and Council President Anderson knows this, with our children post the pandemic, that area is so important. So I'm glad to see that we're following up and putting some dollars behind our programs.
I actually had the opportunity to go to a graduation for one of the schools with this program. It was amazing. There was 5 families that participated in it, and it was very enlightening to talk to them and how they really enjoyed the program, and it really helped when the parents talked to them, they said it really helped them communicate with their children on different levels and what issues they were having at that time with them. So I didn't realize actually that we provided those funds, so I think it's great. Thank you.
We'll also look at Mr. Brzezowski, the Department of Senior Services, and starting with pages 132 and going through 137, Office of Aging and Senior Transportation. Between Mr. Brzezowski, I guess Mr. Simowitz. We'll tell you. Mrs. Morgan also. Again, pages 132 through 137.
I want to make sure that we're not asking this question every year, but we have a I have a question regarding page 132, line 3630, where there's a continuous salary reimbursement.
We receive a grant from the Older Americans Act, which is funneled through the Middlesex County Office on Aging, and that grant is for the counseling and case management that our social workers provide.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, I had some questions, but being a senior citizen, I forgot them. You know what I mean, Hank?
We'll talk later.
It's gonna have to up our budget, you know.
Michelle, leave your card for the council.
Department of Public Works.
18.
Starting with page 45. Actually, I'm sorry, starting with page 44. And you have various divisions and including utilities as well, utility pages. Mr. Brew. 44.
What's the numbers again? I'm sorry.
Starting with 44, if you want to go down his list, starting with the director.
Okay.
Director's office, 44 and 45.
Right.
And he's also sitting with Mr. Gellin, so maybe we can take engineering, which is 46 through 49 at the same time.
Oh, I got it.
Mr. Brew?
Yes.
Line 3510 on page 45. We've had a significant reduction in salaries. Were they due to retirements, or are we doing something more efficiently?
George.
We had a few open positions.
Yeah, a couple of open positions, but there's two people who we took out of the engineering department and moved into the Office of Sustainability, and that would account for the differences there.
They've moved to which department?
Office of Sustainability, it's under the mayor. So we moved those positions out. So that would reflect that decrease.
Thank you. We're good.
Wait,
I have
I'm
one
sorry,
question.
I'm sorry.
Councilman Carroll?
Engineering, Michael. Page 49 at the top. Other outside services, 4995. We've been cruising along there at $500,000 or so. Last year, we spent a little bit more than we budgeted for, and this year, we're upping that a little bit. Can you just enlighten me as to what those outside services are?
Right, these are for sanitary sewer improvements. We do annual preventive maintenance township-wide for sewer. So we maintain our pipes, so it doesn't collapse overnight.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just on that, Councilman, we also, the reason you see a small increase there was when they're cameraing and cleaning and TVing the lines, if they find an area that needs a spot repair, they do that as well as part of the service. Rather than us have to go back with our equipment or excavate, if they can do a spot repair, that's where we put that in. But I think we're comfortable with the number we have.
I can see the fluctuation because sometimes you can't predict this. It could be a bad year or a good year, right? So,
Right.
I appreciate that. It just caught my eye because it's a large number. Are we, Mr. Mitch, are we going up to page 53?
Well, right down to 49, but I think Mr. Bro, Mr. Gallen's done. If you want to pull up your division heads, and we'll start picking them off that way.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So our next one will be Streets and Roads, that's Kevin Tehan.
So beginning with pages 51 through 54, correct?
Yes.
May I? Please. Kev, page 53, down in the middle, other repairs, line 4595, other repairs. It's been fluctuating, and I could imagine what it is, but we're requesting 38,000. Can you give me an example of what repairs that might be?
Yep, they're for repairs to our DPW complex, and repairs to our, like, scissor lifts that we use there, to make repairs to get us up, where, you know, up those high ceilings.
Oh, yeah.
And I charge my chipper, my crew chipper repairs out of there also.
Okay.
So they're my three major
Gotcha.
expenses out there.
Very good, thank you.
Good down there?
Good.
We're good. We're good. Thank
So-
you.
Thanks, Kevin.
On roads.
Oh, all right, but Kevin oversees the next few budgets we have.
Gotcha, okay.
So the next one we have for Kevin, Road Department, and there is snow calamities, that's 1632. That's on page 54.
This is a question, page 55, vehicle replace parts, line 4235. You know, up again this year, which I understand we're a very aggressive public works department, which is great. Is we keeping vehicles longer or maintaining, or why the increase?
Councilman, it really is just the price of the parts and materials to, and labor costs as well. If we have to send something out for repairs.
Okay, thank you.
It really is just the cost of, across the board with all our vehicle maintenance. But, you know, especially that type of equipment, plow equipment, sander equipment, it's a lot of stainless steel, so it is very pricey.
Thank you.
Mr. T, we do any other divisions?
Yeah, so we'll go into next to be street cleaning, that's 1633 on page 56.
Down here? We're good in that department?
Anything else for Mr. T? Nothing under the utility pages?
Oh, that's.
Equipment repair would be,
You know, we're gonna go back to that, it's all the way at the end of government.
Thank you. Mr. Rudy, then equipment repair. Go, Rudy.
Can I just ask a quick question, just category-wise, George? We have 1632 snow removal calamities, and then we have under street cleaning, emergency snow removal. Like, what's the difference between, in theory?
So it's a combination of, you know, if snowstorm, but it's also any storm emergency we have.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to be.
It doesn't necessarily need to be snow.
Gotcha.
If we get an emergency through the governor's office, that's where we book, that's where we create the line.
Okay.
Or if we run out of snow costs, we can do an emergency, then it's just a.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The governor has to declare a state of emergency, and then we're allowed to book that and pay for it in the next year.
Cool.
The last time we had it was 2015.
Thank you.
Equipment repair, starting with pages 59 through 62 on 08.
thank you.
Anybody else?
Good, on this side.
We're good.
Mr. Rudy, under sanitation.
Thank you, Joe. So we have Joe Nuzzi from sanitation.
Mr. Nuzzi, and that starts pages 63 through 65.
Quick question. Joe, page 64, other materials, line 4295. We've been cruising, going all the way back to 2020, requesting 125K. One year we hit that mark, but other than that, we've been considerably under it, but we're still there. Can you tell me what that's?
Sure. We rotate in with recycling for buying the leaf bags for the town.
Oh.
And when we do, it's 75,000, 80,000 a pop.
Right. Okay. That makes sense, and those bags are great. Appreciate it.
In the last few years, we've had some surplus, but we're getting low. We're hitting at this budget cycle for
After
leaf
some of
bags.
these storms that blow through, even in the summertime, leaves and stuff are coming down, so appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Nuzzi, taking anything else, just sanitation?
Sanitation.
He's sanitation.
Good.
Good. Thank you. We're going to
Thank you,
Mr.
Joe.
Burke, Public Buildings and Grounds, starting with 68 through 70.
Good?
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. You're good? Yeah. Yep, we're all right.
We're good. Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you.
Parks Maintenance, beginning with page 125 through 127. Mr. Higgins.
I'm good. One question, Mr. Higgins, our on line 126, 4520 at the bottom of this page, our motor vehicle repairs have been kept pretty low for the last few years. Is there anything that you could attribute to that? Good maintenance?
So that's more for outside repairs. If we have equipment that needs to be serviced outside of our shop, a specialty piece of equipment. Most of our line item comes from our vehicle replacement parts up top. And that's something we use if we need to have something that has to go to a specific vendor for, specialized repairs.
Thank you. We're good?
Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Bob.
School custodian, Mr. Patton. Sorry, my bad. 70 through 72.
I have one comment.
Councilman Carroll?
Page 71, second item, other supplies, 4195 is the line. We've been cruising along at 15K request. Last year, we requested 3,000, actual was 805, we're back up to 15. What would that other supplies example?
Yes. Part of the shared services with the Board of Ed, it's not only custodial services, it's also snow removal and field maintenance.
Okay.
So we kind of use that for the field maintenance.
Gotcha.
For broken sprinkler heads, things of that nature, or a lot of it's mostly sprinklers, like because we're opening and closing for seasons, but it's there for like emergency repairs.
And do we have, is this the line, don't we have a regular contract to do the turf, like freshen it up and that kind of stuff? Do we do that?
We do. We have a maintenance contract to maintain those turf fields.
Okay.
Great. This is more for like baseball fields, more.
Gotcha.
Like non-turf fields.
Gotcha.
And just on some of that, the Parks Department does all that field maintenance.
Okay.
Some of this was being charged to their line items, so we're putting it back onto Tommy's side because it's his responsibility. They do the work, but it's his grounds that it's budgeted for.
Thank you.
Oh, question?
Yeah, on
Councilwoman
page
Denise.
71, item 4295, other materials. So you, we spent a significant amount, but never requested anything in 23 or 24. And now we're requesting 30,000. Can you just explain that?
4295.
4295, other materials. On page 71.
Yep, that changed. Some of that we use as well for field maintenance, for flag, for pitcher's mounds, and speedy dry. We get pallets of that. I know they switch my line item.
Also, the mop rentals and just some cleaning supplies in school. With the addition, with all the added school improvements, it's just going to require more, you know, the waxes, the strippers, and things like that. So we're going to just add it into this line item.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Pat.
Thank you.
We're going to go over to the sewer utility. That's all your utility pages. I guess Joe Figaro, wastewater. Starting with page 9 under the utility. We'll take 9 through 20, all those pages.
Okay.
George?
Yep, just 1 second. So, okay, so starting on page 9, actually, line item 8530, that's, comes under streets and sewers, but any questions, I should be able to answer if anyone has any questions. It's in with the wastewater department, but it's really roads.
I have a question, Carol. Page 11, line item 4595, other repairs, increase of 100,000 from last year. Can you just explain that increase, please?
So that's all the emergency sewer repairs. You know, if we have a break, and as I said earlier, with the company usually does our lining and TV, if we have a sinkhole and results in a sanitary break, that's the line item we charge this out of. It's really an emergency fund for any type of sewer emergencies.
Thank you.
go right into wastewater if you want, Mr. Figaro there.
Page 16, under other outside services, 4995. It's
Yeah.
That's on page 16, correct?
page
The
16.
top of the page?
The top item, 4995.
So, similar to what we just had with the, in the 8530 account, the road department, this is gonna cover, this is something we just introduced to cover any repairs, major repairs we have with our pump stations. We have 22 pump stations, so any issues we have, those repairs also are very expensive. Some of them we're using capital funding to do improvements, but now the improvements that were done out of capital, we're seeing are requiring a lot of maintenance. So this is for any unforeseen pump station emergency.
Thank you.
I have this general question. I see it all over budgets, like utilities, which, you know, I'm a utility guy, which you're governed by the, you know, Board of Public Utilities. Are we using more utility expenses because we own more buildings? It seems like throughout the budget, there's been an increase through our utilities.
On the bulk side, the increase.
Are you talking on the bulk side for like heating, gas,
Oh, yeah,
electricity?
I never saw
Yeah.
natural.
We do own more
natural gas.
buildings, and they have gone up across the board.
Thank you.
So, Councilman, in the wastewater division, that's, you know,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of utility.
Oh, yeah.
So between the diesel fuel and the electric, that number's staggering.
Do you get a expense, like a higher expense in the summer months? Because it's demand peak month, or are we regulated
Joe will
throughout the
tell you
year?
that.
We get a higher
Storms.
expense when it storms.
Yeah.
You know, more water goes into the sanitary through infiltration and inflow, and just, we pump, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that storm last week, we were running 3 pumps for like 2 days. So that's triple the normal amount of electricity, and the way you get billed on that is what you use for a certain number of hours, you get billed for the month. That's how PS does it, by demand.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
So, Councilman, I just want to take off on what Mr. Figaro said. So that goes back to the mayor's program on infiltration into our sewer system and replacing some of our old sewers, where that storm water from the rains go into our storm sewers, which we wind up paying for and treating. So we're doing that on a continual basis year over year. We've done a lot of it.
Thank you.
Agreed. A lot better.
Mr. President, we probably should look at the CP site, the NCUA, and the RVSA also at the same time. Wrap up that.
Pages?
Pages, I'm sorry, 17 through 20 on the utility pages. Questions on the rate?
Good on this.
We're good.
CP too also?
Yes, CP was under that.
Thank you.
Mr. Brew, anything else?
No, if I could just thank the council, the administration, the mayor. I mean, our budgets are extensive here in Public Works. We cover a lot of ground, deal with a lot of different aspects, and the support we get from the council and the administration, the mayor, is incredible. I think all of you understand what we need, the equipment we need, the manpower to do the job, and it really goes a long way with the residents as well as our workers. They appreciate the equipment they get, the support they get. You know, when they need something, we're receptive to making sure they have the tools they need to do the job. And it really does go a long way, but it doesn't happen without the support we have. So thank you.
Well, it's mutual. We feel the same about you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President, if you don't mind, I'd like to, on behalf of the mayor, I'd like to thank these gentlemen here. You know, for the most part, we always thank our first responders, and rightfully so. But these folks are unsung heroes that no one ever gets to see, but they touch our lives every day. Mr. Higgins, Parks Department, takes care of the parks and buildings around town. Mr. Vergara, make sure your toilet flushes, and you never have to worry about anything. Mr. Newsy, make sure the sanitation's picked up and you don't have to worry about what's in front of your house. Mr. Pachowski works for the Parks Department. He does the same thing as Mr. Higgins. Mr. Patton takes care of the schools, and the schools are clean and our children have a fine place to go see. Mr. Burke takes care of our public buildings so they're clean for people to come visit. Mr. Tehan takes care of our streets and roads to make sure they're salted, sanded, clean, and there's no bumps and they're paved. And Mr. Rudy takes care of the equipment to make sure all of these gentlemen can do their job. So, and Mr. Brew leads that crew. So I want to thank these gentlemen. I've worked with them for many years, and they're consummate professionals, and they do their job without any thanks. So, thank you.
We'll go into the Department of Recreation.
Okay. Good job, George.
Thank you. Take care. I need to go to the bathroom. I don't know what you guys
Give Mr. Higgins.
No, we're close to getting done.
Council, can I get a motion to take a 5-minute recess?
No.
Second.
Okay. We'll take a recess. Go back into our session at 5:30 p.m. with the Recreation Department, Mr. Molar, Mr. Mueller, Mr. Losick, starting with pages 24 through 26, Department of Recreation. You have under the first category, Barron Arts, Recreation, and Celebration of Public Events.
Page 25, we're getting new furniture, item 3330, because there was never anything requested, and there's a request page. It's for the Barron Art Center. I think it falls under the Barron Art Center on page 25.
Yes. So, Councilwoman, that's, we're going to order new display cases for them, so that's what that's for.
Thank you.
We'll also look at Recreation, which is pages 128 through 131.
Director, I have a question on page 130, other outside services, 4595. Over the past 5 years, seems to fluctuate a lot in the numbers. Big increase from last year. Can you explain the increase and what the other outside services are?
So the other outside services, that's Buddy Ball, like the Seawarren Library, it's groups like that.
Okay, thank you.
Murals, we've done a lot of murals throughout the township. That's the line that, you know, that hits that line.
Okay, thank you.
Those murals over by the train station parking lot on the opposite side of the street are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
The way we put them up, instead of painting them right on the walls, excellent.
Yeah, that's according to New Jersey Transit, we have to do it that way.
It's
so.
it's okay, I think they'll last longer that way.
Yeah.
It looks very nice, thank you.
Thank you.
You could also look at Celebration of Public Events, which are pages 154 through 156.
page 155, again, other outside services, $49.95.
Yes. So that's stuff like our fireworks, our holiday parade, the holiday stroll, all that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Concerts, Hispanic Cultural Day.
We'll go into the rec utility, going over to your utility portion of the book, starting with page 23. We'll go 23 through 71. That'll cover the community center, Springwood, Highland Grove, recreation centers, and the club at Woodbridge.
Thank you.
We'll look at the Evergreen, Highland Grove, Acacia, 86 Green, the museum, and 127 Avenel Street, the office for APAC, and they'll begin with pages 138 through 154 on the regular budget. Mr. Molnar, will you also be taking the marina utility?
Yeah.
Anybody, while we're in the utility pages, that'll also go up to page 74. 74.
But can I,
You want to go back to that?
I just want to ask a question about Highland Grove, page 149, line 5360 Bry Water. Since 2022, we've been asking for 10,000 there. One year we spent 22, 23 we spent 11,000. Last year we budgeted 10, spent 0, and we're asking for 10 again. Could you explain that?
Yeah, so, Councilman Ficarra, that's kind of the way, in the summertime, while the pool's open, the utilities get charged to the pool, and then the rest of the year, they get charged to the youth center. So it kind of depends when we get our utility bills, and that's at the cycle they come into us, where they get charged to.
Truly an accounting issue, then,
Yes,
right? Very
yes.
good. That explains it. Thank you.
I almost answered that question.
You want to answer them all?
Just come second.
Okay. We're good there.
Anything else you have to cover? I think you're done, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I think, Mr. Simaluka, maybe before we go back, since we're on that last page, do you have anything under the parking utility for council, pages 21 through 23 under the utility budget?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Guys, just before you go, we're very fond of saying Woodbridge is the best town around, and I think your department, certainly all departments, but because you're so visible, is probably one of the reasons. So thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the council for all your support. We had an exciting year in recreation, and we can only do it because of the support from the administration and the support from the council. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
If nothing under the parking utility, then, Mr. President, if we can, we'll go back to the beginning of the binder to the Office of the Business Administrator, pages 14 through 16. And if Mr. Sinaluca can, if you can also take the Office of the Mayor and the Law Department, we'll go through the first three listed. So 14 through 16 are the first ones.
My question on page 15, professional services other, line item 4895, significant increase from last year. I see other years it fluctuates a lot. Can you just explain that, please?
What was the line, I'm sorry?
4895, professional service other. Page 15.
What's that? That's outside service, or service for law, so, and departments.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at the Office of the Mayor, pages 2 through 4.
I'm sorry, I just have a question on page 16. Under miscellaneous expenses, 5295.
On 16,
Page 16, miscellaneous expenses, 5295.
so miscellaneous expenses hits all our contracts for outside contractors. So prices have gone up, so we bumped it. If you see, we hit it for 607 last year. Yep.
Thank you.
Office of the Mayor, pages 2 through 4. Mr. President, if we can look at the Law Department, that's the Law and the Prosecutor's offices, pages 41 through 43.
Okay, I'm good.
Good on this side.
We could jump to the Comptroller's office, page 32 through 34.
On page 32, we have a new line item for 4815, professional services auditor. We never had anything budgeted, and now we have $100,000 this year.
Yes, Councilwoman, the administration wants to undertake a revenue study and also a forecast looking at debt service. So the auditors will be working on that. I don't think it's going to be that high, but we had to put down a number, and we think that it will be in that ballpark, so it's a study.
Thank you.
We'll jump to the council, which is page 4 through 5 on OE. Let you know that the president and I worked on the budget, and he kept it the same as it was last year. There's no change. no questions, we'll go into the Office of the Municipal Clerk. I just want to thank council for specifically because while I've reduced the budget by about $16,000, a lot of the costs of the last couple of years, we've supported the restoration of our vital statistic books back to the 1800s, and we are in a very good place right now. So that was a significant reduction for that, but again, thank you for that. Anybody has any questions? No questions. I believe, Mr. President, that's all we have on the list.
No, go right ahead. I just had a few closing remarks.
Anyone else for any closing remarks before we pass it over to our business administrator?
I just would like to thank Mr. Fernandez, Mr. Klubchak, the administration, and everybody for putting this budget together. You know, it takes a lot of work. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to echo that. I think this is a, very, very clean budget, very easy to understand, and the questions that we asked were answered in, just very enlightening. When you go down this thing the way we do with the ruler and look, and then you see some of these departments and what they do and what they accomplish, it's a real education. So thank you to everyone. Please extend our thanks to anyone we didn't catch that was here.
And we thank all the department heads for answering our questions in advance. And of course, we would like to thank Mr. Mitch for his preparation for this meeting, and all of the council people for being here today to represent our stakeholders in the community. Mr. Simaluka.
Thank you, Council President. First of all, I'd like to thank the council for understanding this. This is a lot to ingest in a short period of time. We live with this kind of every day. The mayor is the architect and gives us the leadership that we had. A few years ago, he tasked us, when I say us, and I'll mention those folks in just a few minutes, he tasked us with keeping this budget flat, and for the last 3 years, we have. So I thank you, Councilman Ficarra, for noticing that, and it is a task. So I'd like to thank the mayor for his efforts, but also there's a lot of people that put in a lot of effort in this process. One is Manny Fernandez, our CFO, Michael Klepchak, our Deputy CFO, Katie Mullen, our other CFO, fantastic group, Casey Wagner, who's our Deputy BA, that does a great job. Along with that, Carolyn Ehrlich sits with us in all of these meetings as we sit with all the directors. So I'd like to thank them for an outstanding effort in putting this budget together. It's a fantastic job, and Mr. Haggerty for placing us all in the right places at the right time. So he gets it all done. So I'd like to thank those folks. Again, thank you to the council for your understanding and for your patience as we get through this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Without any further questions, can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Am I missing?